My dad rear-ends a Maybach S680, face-to-face with an ice-cold heiress from the capital's elite circle. Dead serious, my dad asks, can I pay in installments? Across 3 generations? He tosses my photo over. Here, this is my 2nd generation payment. Meanwhile, I'm slumped over my desk in class, drifting off to sleep. Suddenly, the classroom door bursts open, and a stunningly beautiful girl storms in. The crash of the door yanks me straight out of my dream. Groggy, I lift my eyes and see someone standing at the door, a breathtaking figure. I'm staring at her face, completely dazed, when the girl strides straight toward me and grabs my wrist, dragging me out of the classroom. I stumble along behind her, blurting out, "Hey, who are you? Let go!" Up at the podium, our homeroom teacher finally snaps out of her shock and rushes over to stop us, asking, "Excuse me, who are you? What do you want?" The girl steps pause for a moment. She looks up at the teacher and coldly states her name, Vesper. The moment that name leaves her mouth, it's like thunder cracking. Everyone in the school, in the whole city, knows that name. She's an 18-year-old prodigy, admitted straight into a top university's computer science program back in her sophomore year of high school, and the eldest daughter of the Ashcombe family, already running Ashcombe Corporation at her age. Vesper's tone doesn't soften one bit. It stays cold as ice. I have an emergency right now. Someone will come explain later. Before I can respond, she pulls me away without another word, leaving a room full of stunned classmates behind. 10 minutes later, I'm doubled over a trash can outside a hospital, retching uncontrollably. Beside me sits a blazing red Lamborghini. The driver's door swings open, and Vesper steps out, her first words ice cold. "Could you throw up when no one's around? I don't want strangers thinking I did something horrible to you." I wipe my mouth fuming and glare at her. "You think I enjoy throwing up? You drove like a rocket. Were you racing to your own funeral?" Vesper, expression blank, walks right past me, striding ahead. Her voice, cool and commanding, carries no room for argument. "Keep up." "Forget it, I'm out." I snap back and turn to walk the other way. Vesper spins around instantly, eyes narrowing, her voice carrying a bone-chilling warning. "Take one more step and see what happens. Let me make this clear. There's a life upstairs waiting for you to save. If you know what's good for you, follow me, or I won't mind sending you to your own funeral myself." The second she says that, I flinch. A life is waiting for me to save? I glance around and finally realize, this is a hospital. Without another question, I stride after her. The moment we step into the hallway, a doctor rushes toward us, face full of urgency. "Miss Vesper, you're finally here. Is this the gentleman?" The doctor glances at me, and once he sees my face clearly, surprise flickers in his eyes. He turns and instructs the nurse, "Prep the operating room immediately." I stand frozen, completely lost. What operation? What is going on here? Right after that, I catch a glimpse of someone lying in the hospital room and freeze. Wait a second, who's that little kid on the bed? I turn to Vesper, completely shocked, and blurt out, Is that your daughter?" Vesper shoots me a sideways glance, her tone icy. "I'm 18. My eyes go even wider, staring at her in disbelief. "You had a daughter at 18? Vesper turns to the doctor standing nearby and asks, "If my sister receives his blood, will it affect her intelligence?" The doctor quickly explains, his expression serious. "Rest assured, Miss Vesper, a blood transfusion has no effect on intelligence whatsoever." Then he turns to me. "Sir, I imagine you already have a rough idea of the situation. The Ashcombe family's younger daughter was in a car accident and urgently needs a transfusion, but she has an extremely rare blood type, and there isn't a single match anywhere in the city's blood banks. Yours is the only perfect match we've found. Please come with me to the operating room right now." Without a second's hesitation, I nod. Lying on the operating table, I watch my own blood drain slowly through the tube, and my mind finally pieces the whole story together. That stunning girl who dragged me out of school by force turns out to be none other than the famous Vesper. Her younger sister was in a car crash, and of all things, has an ultra-rare blood type that's nearly impossible to match, and I happen to share that exact same rare type. That's why Vesper came for me in such a frantic hurry. After the blood draw, I sit down on a nearby chair to rest, pressing on the cotton swab on my arm, and glance over into the hospital room. The younger Ashcombe girl is out of danger now. Though her eyes are still closed, she hasn't woken up yet. Vesper stays right by the bedside, a laptop balanced on her knees, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Lines of complex code race across the screen as she stares at it with fierce focus. But when the final results pop up, her brow furrows slightly. Still no data. After all this time, still not a single trace of him. Is he even still alive? If he is, there should be scars, some evidence, so why has every record of him vanished completely off the face of the earth? Ignored entirely, I sit off to the side, irritation building up inside me. I drift over to her like a restless ghost and call out, "Hey!" Vesper ignores me, closing the laptop without a flicker of expression. I press my hand against the arm I just gave blood from, annoyed. "So you're not even going to thank the guy who just saved a life? I basically saved your sister's life and got drained of that much blood, and this girl hasn't even glanced at me since I walked out of that operating room." But Vesper reacts like she's just heard the funniest joke of her life. As far as she's concerned, not going after the Whitlock family is already the biggest mercy she can offer. She glances up at me, her cold eyes dripping with mockery. "Why would I thank you? That sets me off. Is there no justice left in this world?" I'm about to snap back with something worse when the door bursts open and a middle-aged couple rushes in, panic written all over their faces. When I make out the man in front, I almost think my eyes are playing tricks on me. Why is my dad here? He shoots a nervous glance at Vesper, cold sweat pouring down his forehead. He rubs his hands together and finally turns his eyes to me, launching straight into a lecture. How dare you even ask? Do you know how many times I called you and you didn't pick up? Your stepmother and I were driving to pick you up from school when we accidentally hit the younger Ashcombe girl's car. She nearly died from blood loss, but thank God I suddenly remembered that you also have that rare blood type, a perfect match for her. He trails off, the rest of his sentence left unfinished. He doesn't dare say any more. Beside him, the woman plasters on a fawning smile, bowing and nodding at Vesper repeatedly. Miss Vesper, this is entirely our fault. Please don't take it to heart. Vesper lets out a cold laugh, tossing the laptop aside carelessly before delivering a line that cuts straight to the bone. Just 1 minute ago, your son was standing right here, demanding that I thank him. My face instantly burns with humiliation, and only now do I understand the full picture. No wonder Vesper hasn't shown me a single kind expression this whole time, treating me like I owe her something. The moment Vivian hears this, her sharp eyes snap toward me, and she starts screeching. You little brat, are you deliberately trying to cause us trouble? Do you even know your place? Getting to donate blood to Poppy is the luckiest thing that's ever happened to you, and you actually had the nerve to demand a thank you from Miss Vesper? Who do you think you are? This woman is Vivian, my dad's second wife, in other words, my stepmother. 5 years ago, my mom fell into a coma after an accident, and right after that, my dad divorced her. Vivian, who was the mistress back then, smoothly took her place in our household while my mom, to this day, still lies unconscious in the hospital. That was the year I lost everything all at once, and every bit of it traces straight back to this woman. The thought alone makes my hands clench into fists, my head buzzing with rage, barely able to hold back the urge to storm over and slap her. My dad, standing nearby, gives me a nudge, begging in a low voice. Rowan, please, just this once, go apologize to Miss Vesper first. This whole accident is our family's fault, after all. I can't help but laugh, dripping with sarcasm. Our family? Do I even have a family right now? When this woman personally threw me out of the Whitlock house all those years ago, nobody bothered mentioning the words our family to me then. Seeing that I refused to budge, Vivian points at me, her voice climbing even higher, nearly cracking. Rowan, are you trying to get our whole family killed? I told you to apologize to Miss Vesper. Are you deaf? Think you're too grown for orders now, too stubborn to listen? Get over here and apologize to Miss Vesper right now. She rolls up her sleeves and marches toward me, clearly ready to teach me a lesson on the spot. Enough. Vesper shoots up from her seat, ice flooding her eyes. Her voice carries not a shred of warmth. Who gave you the nerve to turn my hospital room into your personal battleground? Vivian quickly stammers out, flustered. It's not what you think, Miss Vesper. Please let me explain. Impatience floods Vesper's eyes, and she coldly bites out 3 words. Get out. My lawyer will handle whatever's left to deal with. As for the 2 of you, stay out of my sight. Panic floods Vivian's face. Judging by this, Miss Vesper has no intention of forgiving the Whitlock family at all. Just then, a soft, sweet little voice suddenly drifts over from the bed. Vesper. Every head in the room whips around at once, and there she is, the little girl who was unconscious just moments ago, somehow already sitting up. She looks about 10 years old. A white bandage still wrapped around her forehead, soft hair falling gently against her cheeks. Her delicate little face as fine as a porcelain doll's. Her sapphire blue eyes glowing as if she's hiding an entire galaxy inside them, her cheeks still round with baby fat, though her chin tapers into a delicate point. The picture-perfect image of an adorable little girl. Vesper rushes to her side immediately, every trace of coldness melting off her face in an instant, replaced with pure tenderness. Poppy, you're awake? Does anything hurt? Poppy pokes at her own head with a pitiful little pout, her voice sweet and babyish. It hurts right here, Vesper. What happened to me? I think I lost a lot of blood. It was so scary. Vesper's brow furrows instantly, and she quickly takes the little girl's hand, murmuring gently, Don't move too much. The doctor beside them steps forward at once, running a full checkup on Poppy before pulling off his stethoscope with a smile and turning to Vesper. Miss Vesper, your sister is out of danger now. She just needs to rest and recover for a while. He gives Poppy's little head an affectionate ruffle, speaking gently to reassure her. Don't worry, you're perfectly fine now. All the blood you lost has already been replaced, thanks to his own blood. Poppy's clear, wide eyes dart around the room before finally landing on me, and a bright smile breaks across her face. Her voice as clear as a wind chime. Thank you for saving me. I wave my hands quickly, smiling back. It's nothing really, no big deal. Poppy smiles at me again, tilting her head. So how should I repay you? She scrunches her little brow, thinking hard about it, and suddenly her eyes light up, as if a brilliant idea just struck her. I've got it. How about I become your little sister? I nearly choke on my own spit right there. Vesper gently taps Poppy on the head, half laughing, half exasperated. What are you talking about? Do you have any idea how much older he is than you? Poppy pouts, clearly unconvinced. So what? He'd just be my big brother. I'm completely stunned into silence, totally floored. Is that really something a kid under 10 should be saying? So will you wait for me to grow up? Poppy tilts her head, asking in her sweet, babyish voice. Afternoon sunlight pours through the tall windows, falling across her innocently smiling face. Vesper glances at me flatly and says, Ignore her. You're free to go. No, you can't leave! Poppy immediately cries out. My leg is hurt, I can't even move. With that, she wraps both arms tightly around mine. We haven't even exchanged contact info yet, and I still haven't figured out how to repay you. Vivian, standing off to the side, jumps in quickly, her smile syrupy and desperate to please. No need at all, Miss Poppy. Him getting to donate blood to you is an honor in itself. Forget just this little bit of blood. As long as you're safe and sound, we wouldn't mind if you drained every drop from him. Poppy turns to look at her, blinking her big eyes. Whose family are you from? Vivian looks visibly flustered. She can hardly say she's Rowan's stepmother, so she quickly shoves my dad forward instead. This is Rowan's father. We're all part of Rowan's family. Poppy's little brow furrows, looking utterly confused. But if you're Rowan's family, why did you just say you'd let them drain every drop of his blood? Doesn't that worry you he'd get hurt? Those words hit me straight in the chest, and I glanced down at this little girl clinging tightly to my arm, so afraid I might leave, and something in my chest aches. Vivian quickly pats my dad's arm, shooting him a pointed look, and my dad catches on instantly, bowing and nodding as he speaks up. Ha ha, Miss Poppy, as long as you're okay, nothing else really matters. Vivian nods along in quick agreement. Right, Miss Poppy, you— Before she can finish, Poppy cuts her off, turning to look at her sister behind her, her voice sweet as ever. Vesper, these two are so loud. I just woke up, I want some quiet. Vesper's eyes go cold in an instant as she turns toward Vivian and my dad, biting out two more words. Get out. Vivian has no intention of leaving with things this unresolved, because with the Ashcombe family's power, if Miss Vesper's anger over the accident isn't settled, the Whitlock group won't stand a chance against them. My dad quickly speaks up. Miss Vesper will head out now. Vesper's face still carries that same detached expression, but the chill in her voice is cold enough to freeze solid. I'm not going to repeat myself a third time. All the color drains from Vivian's face, and she stammers frantically. Yes, right away, we're leaving. She drags my dad toward the door, but not before shooting me one last venomous glare, hissing under her breath. What are you still standing there for? Get out here now or drop dead first if you're so tough. I shoot back without hesitation. Fine, whatever. My dad quickly grabs hold of the furious Vivian, turning to yell at me urgently. Rowan, get out here right now. I let out a cold scoff, gently ruffling the little girl's hair, my voice softening. Your name's Poppy, right? I need to head out now. Take care of yourself, okay? Bye. I look at this soft, adorable little girl with a pang of regret, thinking to myself that I'll probably never see her again, and then get up, heading toward the door. Just as I reach the doorway, Poppy panics instantly, shouting at the top of her lungs. Rowan, don't go! Vesper, call him back right now, he saved my life! Vesper reaches out to smooth Poppy's hair, her voice softening slightly. His family hit you with their car and caused this accident. He's only here to pay off his family's debt. Poppy's small body goes rigid, and she nearly throws a tantrum right there on the bed. I don't care, he saved my life, I want him back. If you don't call him back, I'm never eating vegetables again. Vesper looks at her, a flicker of surprise crossing her eyes. So you're saying, if he comes back, you'll eat your vegetables like a good girl? Poppy sits bolt upright, counting on her fingers with total seriousness. If that's what it takes to bring him back, I'll eat vegetables for a whole week. No complaints? Not a single bite skipped. Vesper's brow furrows slightly. 2 weeks. Poppy's face tightens, holding up all 10 fingers. 10 days. Vesper's expression doesn't budge an inch, her tone flat. 20 days. Poppy immediately throws her head back and wails. Wah, Vesper is such a meanie, always picking on her own little sister, that's so unfair. Even while crying, she keeps sneaking glances at Vesper's reaction out of the corner of her eye. Vesper turns away without a second thought, her tone leaving zero room for negotiation. 1 month. Take it or leave it. Poppy's crying stops instantly, and she throws her arms around Vesper's leg, caving immediately. No, fine, I was wrong, okay? 1 month it is. No use fighting Vesper, that sly little schemer. Butler, please go bring him back right now. Vesper settles back onto the sofa, completely unhurried, her tone calm. What's the rush? I have plenty of ways to make him come back on his own. Her gaze drops to the page in front of her, though her thoughts seem to drift elsewhere, that boy's face flashing through her mind over and over. The moment we step out of the room, Vivian erupts like a volcano, turning to glare daggers at me, cursing without restraint. You little brat, clearly I haven't disciplined you enough lately. You're getting bolder by the day, aren't you? What kind of attitude was that back there? Have you got no manners at all? My hands clench into fists, and I glare back at her coldly. You, a woman who wormed her way into this family by being a mistress, have the nerve to lecture me about manners. A second later, a sharp slap echoes through the hallway. I look up in stunned disbelief at the man in front of me, his hand still raised, frozen midair, my own father. How dare you talk to your stepmother like that? She's your elder. What's wrong with her giving you a piece of her mind? My dad glares at me, eyes blazing, his chest heaving. Apologize to her right now. A burning sting spreads across my cheek, and a storm of emotion surges through me all at once. Vivian stands off to the side, arms crossed, watching with malicious satisfaction, gloating like she's won something, her tone dripping with sarcasm. This kid needed a good beating, otherwise he'd forget his place entirely. I press my lips into a tight line, lifting my chin slightly, my voice trembling with cold fury. If I had a choice, I'd never want to carry the Whitlock name in this life. My dad shakes with fury, raising his hand again to strike me, roaring. How did I end up raising such an ungrateful brat? But the next second, someone catches his raised arm mid-swing, and a faint scent of lavender wraps around me instantly. I freeze for a second, then whip my head around. Wow, what kind of lucky charm am I carrying today? Running into yet another absurdly gorgeous guy. He's wearing the same school uniform as Vesper, but nothing like her aloof keep your distance chill, every movement of his carrying a gentle scholarly grace instead. He speaks softly, his voice as gentle as a breeze drifting across the river, as if it could soothe away all the tension in the room. Whatever's going on here, this is a public space. Please, everyone, mind your manners. My dad seems to realize his actions just now went too far, but he can't bring himself to apologize either. He shoots me one last hard glare, turns on his heel and storms off. Vivian huffs at me too, spitting out how embarrassing, before hurrying after him. The boy turns to look at me, asking gently, "Are you all right?" I brush back my messed up hair, answering quietly, "I'm fine, thank you." The moment he sees my face clearly, surprise flashes across his eyes. There it is again, that same look everyone gives whenever they see my face, and I instinctively want to hide, quickly lowering my head, grabbing at my thick bangs to cover my forehead. Noticing my small movement, the boy naturally looks away, letting out a light chuckle. "It's nothing, those two were just being awfully loud. Oh, here, take this." He pulls a hard-boiled egg from the takeout bag he's carrying, holding it out to me. "Press this against your cheek, it'll bring the swelling down." I hesitate for a moment, then take the still warm egg with both hands, murmuring a quiet thank you. The boy smiles and waves it off. "No need, I should get going." I watch his figure until it disappears completely down the hallway, only then realizing, belatedly, that I forgot to even ask his name. Even without a name, I can tell he's a genuinely kind, gentle person. The hospital room door creaks open gently. Poppy sits with her chin propped in her hands, leaning on the windowsill, peering down below, muttering to herself. "Weird, why hasn't Rowan come out yet?" "Poppy!" a gentle voice calls out, and Poppy spins around instantly, eyes lighting up, calling out happily. "Iris!" Iris walks in with a smile, carrying a bag of food, speaking softly. "Poppy, I brought your lunch. Go wash your hands and come eat." Poppy shakes her head quickly. "No, I want to wait for Rowan so we can eat together." Iris turns to her best friend with a puzzled look. Vesper asks quietly, "Who's Rowan?" Vesper leans back against the sofa, her cool eyes fixed on the page in her hands, answering without even looking up. "The boy who donated blood to Poppy. He just left." "I see." Iris sets the food bag down on the coffee table in the room, sitting down on the sofa beside Vesper, asking gently, "By the way, still no trace of him?" Vesper gives a soft hum of confirmation, her tone tinged with heaviness. "It's like he vanished into thin air. I can't pull up a single piece of useful information." Iris rests her chin on her hand, looking thoughtful. "Sounds like this one's genuinely hard to track down." Then a teasing smile creeps onto her face. "If it were your idol handling this, he'd probably track him down in no time." 3 years ago, a legendary hacker known as Echo burst onto the scene online, someone who could slip silently into police systems without stealing a single secret, and instead built an airtight case exposing the real culprit to clear a wrongly accused suspect. 2 years ago marked Echo's most active year online, and despite being a hacker, he carried out countless acts of quiet justice. That same year happened to be the darkest, lowest point in Vesper's life. The thought makes Vesper's glass-clear eyes light up instantly. She nods without even thinking. "If it's him, he should be able to find this." Iris gently pats Vesper's shoulder, comforting her softly. "No rush. Take your time. That day will come eventually." Meanwhile, by the time I step out of the hospital, it's already 1 in the afternoon. The moment I walk through the hospital gate, a black Mercedes screeches to a stop right in front of me. The window rolls down slowly, revealing my dad in the driver's seat, Vivian sitting in the passenger seat beside him. "Your brother's waiting at home. Your stepmother and I are heading back for lunch. We won't drop you off, just grab a cab back to school." My dad reaches into his wallet, about to hand me some cash, but the second his hand reaches out, Vivian snatches the money away, shooting me a haughty glance, her tone dripping with venom. "A cab? Do you think money just falls from the sky? Crestview's not far from here. Let him take the bus back." With that, she rolls the window back up without another word, and my dad opens his mouth to protest, but a sharp glare from Vivian shuts him right up. He has no choice but to shift into gear and drive off. I let out a low, bitter laugh, my cheek still throbbing with a dull ache. I pull out my phone and send a text to my homeroom teacher asking for the afternoon off, deciding not to go back to school at all. I shove the phone back into my bag and turn to head toward the place I call home. Deep at the end of the alley, I push open the rusted, worn-out iron gate. It creaks loudly. In the room on the left side of the small house, a pale, middle-aged woman lies quietly on the bed, an oxygen mask over her face, completely still. I force a smile onto my face and speak softly. "Mom, I'm home." The woman on the bed doesn't respond at all. 5 years ago, my mom and I were thrown out of the Whitlock house, and she ended up in a coma after an accident. She's been asleep for 5 years now, never once waking up. I walk over to the bed, sit down on the edge, and ramble on, telling her every single thing that happened today, word by word. Once I finish, I get up, carefully tucking in the corner of her blanket, speaking softly. "Mom, from now on, I promise I'll take good care of myself. Don't worry about me. I'm going to make dinner now, so get some rest." As I pass the bathroom mirror, my steps falter for just a second, and I glance sideways into the mirror, where a clear handprint still marks the left side of my face. I quickly grab at my thick bangs, pulling them down to cover most of my face again, and hurry past the mirror. The next morning I wake up after a rough, sleepless night, having dreamed of Vesper of all people, that ice queen. In the dream, she stared straight at me, smiling with a wild, unsettling intensity, telling me I'd never escape her, that she'd drain every last drop of my blood. It scared me so badly that when I woke up my heart was still pounding, the fear lingering. On the way to school I trudge along, yawning, barely dragging myself toward the classroom, but the moment I step through the door, the noisy classroom falls dead silent, every single head turning toward me at once. I blink, completely confused. What's going on? A classmate up front looks at me, half smirking, and asks, "Why are you even here?" I glance up at the class sign by the door. Senior year, class 6, this is definitely the right room. 2.5 seconds later, a few guys erupt all at once, swarming around me in a tight circle, boxing me in completely. "Rowan, what's actually going on between you and Vesper? Where'd you two go yesterday? How do you even know her? Spill it, spill it!" I take a step back, sighing helplessly. "Could you guys take turns? All talking at once like this, I'm about to get spit all over my face." Right then, one guy chimes in with a snide tone. "Rowan, whatever trick you pulled to hook up with Vesper doesn't really matter now, does it, since you've already been expelled?" "You didn't know?" My eyes go wide with shock. "What did you say? Expelled? Why?" The guy looks at me, practically savoring the moment. "I wouldn't make something like this up. Our teacher told us herself, yesterday afternoon." Just as he finishes, the teacher walks in and taps the podium. "Everyone settle down, class is starting." I rush straight up to her, asking urgently, "Ma'am, they're saying I got expelled, what's this about?" She glances at me coldly. "Exactly what it sounds like. Your things are already packed up, take them and go." I'm completely stunned. "Why?" Her brow furrows, her tone ice cold, unexcused absence. "If that doesn't get you expelled, who would it?" I'm desperate now. "But someone dragged me out of class by force yesterday, everyone saw it happen, and I texted you that afternoon to ask for the rest of the day off." She cuts me off, clearly annoyed. "Enough, enough, save it. This came straight from the principal. You're expelled, Rowan." I'm frozen in place, my mind completely blank. How did this happen? Right then a classmate walks in from outside and calls out, "Rowan, someone's here for you." I turn to look, and standing at the door is my dad, of all people. Talk about a miracle, my dad actually showed up at school to see me in person. The second our eyes meet, he waves at me warmly, gesturing for me to come out. The sting of yesterday's slap is still fresh in my memory, and honestly, I'd love to just pretend I didn't see him. I walk over anyway, my tone anything but friendly. "What do you want?" He looks at me with a guilty expression. "Rowan, listen, yesterday was on me, I was wrong. That's why I came here so early this morning, to apologize to you in person." Hearing that, for some reason, I drop my gaze and say nothing. "Come on, let's go find somewhere to talk, just the two of us." He pushes me forward by the back, guiding me outside, and I don't refuse, following him to the dessert shop across from school. The moment we sit down, he points at the menu, asking what I want. "How about the mango mousse cake? Your brother loves this one. He always wants several at a time." I glance at the price. $40 for a single slice, that's 2 days of my living expenses right there. But none of that is really the point. The real issue is, I'm severely allergic to mango. One bite and I'd break out in a rash from head to toe. A flash of panic crosses my dad's eyes, and he quickly backpedals. "Oh right, how about tiramisu instead? That should be fine." I wrap my hands around the glass of water in front of me and give a quiet nod, and once the dessert order gets handed back to the waiter, my dad finally drops that fake guilty act, getting straight to the point. "Rowan, remember the younger Ashcombe girl from the hospital yesterday? You do remember her, right?" I pause for a moment, and instantly, that delicate, adorable little face pops into my mind. I answer flatly, "Yeah, I remember." My dad's fingers fidget nervously with the watch on his wrist, his tone tinged with unease. "That accident with the younger daughter was entirely our family's fault. And sure, she's fine now, but you know as well as I do, with the Ashcombe family's power, if they really wanted to press charges, there's no way the Whitlock group could survive it." He pauses for a beat, before finally revealing his real intent. "The Ashcombe family has made it clear, if you personally look after their younger daughter for a full month, until she's fully recovered, they'll let the whole thing go. No further consequences for our family." The moment I hear that, everything clicks into place. The apology, the sudden burst of fatherly concern, all of it was just an act put on for my benefit. This was the real reason all along. And to think I actually let myself believe, even for a moment, that this man, cold to me for 5 straight years, had suddenly grown a conscience, remembered he had a son, and actually cared about me for real. I shoot up from my seat, my voice frozen solid. "I'm not doing it. Why should I clean up the mess Vivian caused?" Seeing my resolve, my dad's tone shifts, turning pleading and desperate. "Rowan, you're the only one who can save our family right now. Please, I'm begging you." I glare at him, fury burning in my eyes, biting out each word. "Let me make this crystal clear. I will never pay for that woman's mistakes. I'm not that self-sacrificing, and I'm definitely not that forgiving." When begging fails, my dad's expression shifts instantly, his tone turning dark. "Don't forget, you've already been expelled from school." My eyes go wide with disbelief, my voice trembling. "Don't tell me getting expelled was your doing all along?" He glances at me flatly, his tone light and casual, yet every word cuts deep. "I'm just pointing out the facts. You have no school to go back to now, but if you agree to this, I'll get you transferred to Kingsley Academy immediately. You could start classes there tomorrow, instead of stuck at this ordinary school." My fists clench so hard my nails dig into my palms, resentment boiling inside me. but I hold firm through gritted teeth. I already said no. That's not up for negotiation. Seeing that I won't budge, my dad finally loses it, slamming his hand on the table as he stands up, pointing right in my face, shouting, "I raised you all these years, and you won't even do this one small thing for me? Have you got any conscience left at all? Even a dog I raised this long would wag its tail out of gratitude." His tone shifts and he finally plays his cruelest card. "Let me make this very clear. If you refuse your mom's surgery next month, you won't get a single cent from me for it. She needs that surgery next month, doesn't she? Without money, I'd love to see how you plan to keep that woman alive after 5 years in a coma." Those words hit the one weak spot I have with pinpoint precision, and I bite down hard on my lower lip, until it turns white and the taste of blood floods my mouth. After a long, tense silence, I finally cave, forcing out 3 words through gritted teeth. "Fine, I'll go." Relief floods my dad's face instantly, and he pulls out his phone right away, calling to arrange a car ready to send me straight to the Ashcombe estate. Meanwhile, inside that sprawling luxury mansion, Vesper sits gracefully at the head of the dining table, having lunch with perfect composure. Today's meal is an elegant spread, fragrant rice served in a fine white porcelain bowl, surrounded by 7 or 8 beautifully prepared hot dishes. She takes a slow, unhurried sip of soup, glancing over at the high chair beside her, where a small figure props up her chin, poking her chopsticks aimlessly at the rice in her bowl. Vesper speaks up flatly. "Poppy, are you seriously counting grains of rice right now?" "Whoa, how did you know?" Poppy's eyes light up, tilting her face up proudly. "I'm really good at math now. Watch, I'll count for you." With that, she picks up her spoon with dead seriousness and scoops the rice from her own bowl, spoonful by spoonful, dumping it all into Vesper's bowl, muttering numbers under her breath. 1, 2, 3. Vesper sets her chopsticks down flat against the edge of her bowl, leaning back in her chair, arms crossed, staring at Poppy with a cold look. Poppy's small body flinches, and she instantly sits up straight, hands folded obediently in her lap, not daring to move an inch more. Vesper's voice stays calm and cold yet carries an unmistakable weight. "What did you promise me at the hospital yesterday? A full month of no picky eating, did you forget already?" Poppy blinks her big eyes, playing dumb with a wide-eyed innocent look. "Huh? Did I promise that?" I bumped my head. I can't really remember much of anything now. Vesper lets out a cold laugh, her tone breezy but aimed straight at the little girl's weak spot. "Oh really? Then you might as well forget all about that boy too, because you're never seeing him again in this lifetime." Poppy panics instantly, staring at Vesper's icy expression, sniffling with hurt, and the next second she tips her head back and bursts into tears. "Vesper's such a meanie, always picking on me. I don't want you as my sister anymore." Once Poppy starts crying, it's never just a whimper, it's an all-out, world-shaking meltdown, and nothing anyone says can stop it. Vesper, who everyone else sees as an unstoppable genius capable of anything, is probably worst at comforting a crying child. She rubs her temple, clearly frustrated, and shoots a cold glance at the staff standing nearby. "Are you all statues? Stop standing there and go comfort her." The staff scramble forward in a panic to soothe Poppy, but the more they try, the harder she cries, the sobs only growing louder. Vesper's brow furrows, and she adds one more line. "Poppy, if you keep crying, I really will make sure you never see him again." Sure enough, Poppy's crying instantly ratchets up another level, and the staff silently scream internally, but of course they can't show it on their faces. "Please, Miss Vesper, could you not twist the knife any deeper right now?" Vesper, completely oblivious, keeps her cold expression, issuing another warning. "I'm warning you, don't think crying is going to work on me. You know that trick doesn't fly with me." The staff are practically in tears themselves. "Please, Miss Vesper, just stop talking." Right at that moment, the butler hurries over, bowing slightly as he reports, "Miss Vesper, Mr. Rowan has arrived." Before Vesper can even respond, Poppy, still wailing her heart out just moments ago, stops crying instantly, not even a hiccup left. Vesper glances at her sideways, her tone dry. "What, no more crying?" Tears still cling to the corners of Poppy's eyes, blinking her glossy, shimmering eyes, her voice still choked up but unable to hide the burst of pure excitement underneath. "Is Rowan really here? Let him in right now." The butler stands still, waiting for Vesper's signal, and Vesper takes her time, calmly dabbing a napkin at the corner of her mouth, before saying flatly, "Let him in." Following the butler into the Ashcombe estate, the sheer luxury of the place is almost blinding. I can't help but think to myself, yep, I'm definitely just some broke kid who's never seen real wealth before. A mansion this massive, do the people who live here even manage not to get lost? From a distance I spot that girl with the sharp, commanding presence sitting at the dining table, and the moment Poppy sees me, she's so thrilled she nearly leaps out of her wheelchair. The Ashcombe family did hire a private doctor and allowed her to recover at home, but after losing so much blood yesterday, her leg is still wrapped in thick bandages, making it look like a fat little bundle. Without someone helping her, she can't move an inch, and it's clearly frustrating her, judging by how she's wriggling around in that wheelchair. Watching Poppy look this adorable, my heart practically melts on the spot, and I hurry over, crouching down beside her, smiling as I ask, "Poppy, how are you feeling today? How'd you get discharged so quickly?" Poppy grins, eyes crinkling with joy, answering brightly, "Because Vesper said the hospital wasn't as nice as home and neither were the doctors, so we came back home to recover this morning instead." My mouth twitches slightly, and I turn to look at Vesper standing behind her, instinctively reaching up to pull my bangs down over my forehead, before speaking up politely. "So, my father already explained everything to me. This month, I'll take good care of Poppy, until her leg has fully healed. Honestly, Getting off with just 1 month of caretaking to make up for this whole accident is already a bargain for the Whitlock group, but Vesper sees it very differently. If Poppy hadn't been begging all day, from morning to night, to see the boy who donated blood to save her, Vesper never would have let this man set foot anywhere near the estate. What is even so great about him, anyway? Vesper coldly looks away, picking up her spoon to continue her soup, as if she hasn't heard a word I said, not even sparing me a glance. On the outside, I keep a polite smile plastered on, but inside, I'm rolling my eyes so hard it hurts. This Ice Queen, I'm literally talking to you right now. Would it kill you to respond? So rude. The butler beside us, ever the perceptive one, quickly steps in to ease the awkwardness. Mr. Rowan, please help talk some sense into Miss Poppy. She was just in an accident yesterday, her body's already weak, and she really needs proper nutrition right now, but our Miss Poppy is famously picky about food, and no one's able to convince her otherwise. Just a moment ago she got scolded to tears by Miss Vesper over refusing to eat. Only now do I notice the still drying tears clinging to the corners of Poppy's eyes, and honestly, before coming here, I'd already worked out exactly what my role in all this needs to be. I immediately stand up and ask, would it be alright if I use the kitchen for a bit? The butler glances over at Vesper, and seeing no objection from her quickly nods. Of course, Mr. Rowan, please follow me. 15 minutes later, I walk back in carrying a small tray, and taking a closer look, the food on the tray has been shaped into all sorts of adorable cartoon designs, with carrots and vegetables, carved into little trees and flowers, and even the plain white rice molded into the shape of a small bear. What was once an ordinary meal has instantly become playful and delightful to look at. I set the tray down in front of Poppy, coaxing her with a smile. Look, Poppy, want to give this a try? Poppy's eyes light up instantly, her head bobbing up and down like crazy. Yes, yes, this is so good! She immediately dives in, spoon in hand, eating with total delight, bite after bite, without a hint of pickiness in sight. Poppy's the type who never holds a grudge, and midway through her meal she turns to Vesper with an adorable little look, holding up her spoon proudly. Vesper, want to try some too? This rice ball is amazing. Vesper lets out a dismissive scoff. Childish. It's all just rice, they just molded it into some pig shape and suddenly you think it tastes better? I nearly choke on my own breath. Hold on, that was clearly supposed to be a bear. Poppy takes a huge ah-woo bite of the rice ball, her little cheeks stuffed full, mumbling in her own defense. It's really, really good though. Vesper doesn't say anything further. Poppy's picky eating has always been the biggest headache in the entire Ashcombe household, and yet this man just casually reshapes a few things, and somehow gets her eating happily without a fight. Having already finished her own meal, Vesper picks up her elegant white porcelain teacup, taking a graceful sip, and says flatly, you should count yourself lucky your little trick managed to fool her, at least for now, otherwise it would only make you look even more useless. I'm instantly fuming, gritting my teeth as I ask, Vesper, do you have to talk like that all the time? Vesper continues sipping her tea, unhurried as ever, glancing up at me briefly. Her tone drips with entitlement. You honestly think I owe you anything nice to say? The look on her face makes it painfully clear, as if to say, this is all just your obligation. I'm gritting my teeth so hard it hurts, half tempted to dump the teapot straight over that beautiful, infuriating face of hers. Seriously, this woman's sharp tongue knows no limits. My eyes drift to the tea set nearby, and an idea instantly forms in my mind, and I immediately put on my best ingratiating smile, picking up the teapot and teacup as I lean in closer. Vesper, I know it's my family's fault that Poppy was in that accident. I'm here to make amends on their behalf, so please don't be angry. I poured her a cup of tea. Vesper shot me a sideways glance and said nothing. I scurried over eagerly, pretending to refill her cup. Then I slipped, crying out in fake panic. Oh no! The scalding tea was about to spill all over Vesper, but she reacted instantly, springing up and stepping back. The cup missed her completely, smashing on the chair into pieces, and the tea splashed all over my own face and clothes instead. Wiping the tea off my face, I nearly choked on my own frustration. Vesper, why did you dodge? I blurted out. She crossed her arms, perfectly at ease, looking like she had everything under control, and said flatly, not dodge. Wait around to get soaked on purpose, you fool. I quickly put on an innocent face. Don't slander an honest man. I just slipped, that's all. Vesper kept her arms crossed, her voice cold and clear. Better make sure your hands don't shake like that again. By the way, the cup you just broke is worth $10,000. Butler, be sure to settle the bill before Rowan leaves. The butler paused, and knew exactly what was going on. Vesper couldn't care less about $10,000, she was clearly just messing with this young Whitlock. He then looked at me, utterly stunned, with deep sympathy. Poor young master, actually provoking their scheming young lady on purpose. Wasn't that just asking for trouble? I stood frozen on the spot, completely dumbstruck. Who would have guessed a cup could cost that much? If I'd known, I never would have pulled this stupid prank. I dropped every last bit of my pride, pleading with a miserable face. Vesper, I was wrong, alright? I'll never do it again. Vesper let out a cold laugh. Drop that fake smile of yours, it's annoying to look at. I immediately wiped the smile off my face and swore solemnly, I promise it will never happen again. She glanced at me and said, flatly, if you want to make up for your family's debt, at least show some real sincerity. I nodded quickly. I understand, I'll keep myself in line. Poppy had already eaten most of the meal I'd made her, patting her round little belly, and couldn't help speaking up for me. Vesper, don't bully Rowan. Honestly, Poppy was an angel sent down from heaven. How could a demon like Vesper have such a sweet, adorable little sister? It had to be the eighth wonder of the world. Vesper ignored her sister's words, her cold gaze landing on me instead. Listen up, I admit you're good at coaxing my sister, but I hate mindless fools the most, so whenever it's not necessary, keep as far away from me as possible. With that, she turned and strode away on her long legs, heading straight for the second floor, calling back to a servant as she went, "Bring a cup of coffee up to my room. I'm writing new code this afternoon, so no one is to disturb me." I gritted my teeth and waited until she was out of sight. Then of the table leg, a light kick to vent, muttering to myself, I really hate how high and mighty that woman acts. But the words had barely left my mind when Vesper's footsteps suddenly stopped. She turned her head slightly, her stunning profile sharply outlined against the light behind her, her eyes icy. Something to say? Her gaze made the message perfectly clear. You can complain all you want, but pay the 10 grand first. What little courage I'd had was instantly crushed by that single look, leaving me with nothing but an awkward smile. I quickly added in a fawning tone, no complaints at all. Keep up the great work, your company's games are super popular, tons of my friends play them. In front of Vesper, I truly learned what it felt like to be utterly defeated, trudging back to the table with my arms hanging limp. Poppy quickly tried to comfort me, quite seriously. Rowan, don't take it personally. My sister's actually a good person. Right. I honestly can't tell where that good is hiding. I ground my teeth, counting off on my fingers as I quietly listed her flaws to Poppy, arrogant, sharp-tongued, with the whole vibe of some ruthless corporate tyrant, and also, Rowan. Poppy tugged at my sleeve, her little face full of alarm, pointing timidly behind me. Before I even had time to turn around, a bone-chilling wave of pressure swept over me. No way. Like a rusty robot, I slowly turned my head, bit by bit, and found myself face to face with Vesper's breathtakingly beautiful face, her expression blank, one eyebrow raised, her voice cold enough to freeze anyone solid. And also what? Go on? I bit my lip, my mind racing, scrambling for something to say. I mean, you're arrogant and sharp-tongued, sure, but you're also incredibly beautiful. Not just pretty, really elegant, too. As I spoke, I instinctively reached up to tug at my bangs, pulling them down over my forehead, and added in a panic, and other good points, too. I'll tell you once I think of them. Vesper reached out and picked up the laptop she'd set aside earlier, glancing up at me with a look I couldn't quite read. Poppy blinked her big watery eyes at her sister, asking sweetly, Vesper, can you get a room ready for Rowan? What answered her was a commanding voice that left absolutely no room for argument. No, flat and final. Poppy's lips immediately puffed into a pout, her whole face full of hurt. Why not? Didn't we agree that until my legs fully healed, Rowan would stay and take care of me? Vesper's slender brows drew together, her tone icy. Because I have no interest in living under the same roof as a fool who can't even flatter someone properly. I rolled my eyes internally, as if I were dying to move in there anyway. For the entire afternoon, Vesper stayed holed up in her room working, and I never saw her again all day. By dinner time, I'd made a special creative kids meal just for my little bundle, and while watching her eat, I asked casually, doesn't your sister need to go to SC School? I think I heard once that she just turned 18. Poppy shook her little head, saying proudly, my sister got a guaranteed spot at a top national university back in her sophomore year, so it doesn't matter now whether she goes to school or not. The gap between people could really be that huge? My grades weren't bad, but I was still a million miles away from that kind of level. Heaven really was unfair, dumping nearly every blessing onto that girl upstairs all at once. I glanced up at the clock on the wall, already 8 in the evening. I stood up to say goodbye to Poppy. Poppy, I need to head home now. Poppy quickly set down her little spoon, her sapphire-like eyes instantly filling with worry, staring hard at me. Will you come back tomorrow? I smiled and gave her soft little cheek a pinch, soothing her gently. I'll take care of you every day until your leg is completely healed. This was the deal I'd made with my father. I'd look after her for 1 month, and in return, he'd transfer me to Kingsley Academy and cover my mother's upcoming surgery. Which reminded me, tomorrow, I had to report to Kingsley Academy, so I really needed to get home and pack. With that in mind, I patted Poppy's head again, softening my voice. The thing is, starting tomorrow, I'll be at school too, so I'll probably only be able to come see you after school and on days off. At those words, Poppy's little face fell instantly, her eyes filled with disappointment. So does that mean I won't get your breakfast tomorrow? I winked at her, smiling as I kept her guessing. Of course you will. If you don't believe me, just wait and see when you wake up tomorrow. Poppy's eyes instantly lit up like stars, her whole face brimming with anticipation. The moment I left, Poppy, so full of energy just seconds before, deflated like a punctured balloon, slumping down. A servant wheeled her chair up to the second floor, where she knocked on Vesper's door and gently pushed it open, poking her little head in. Vesper, I'm ready for bed. Can you tell me a story? Vesper had just finished writing a piece of code. Half her stunning face hidden in shadow, her features barely visible, undeniable exhaustion in her eyes that somehow took nothing away from her presence, but instead added a certain fragile, indescribable quality that made her all the more captivating. She stood, reached over, and switched off the desk lamp, answering warmly, All right, I'll tell you a story. After she'd lulled her sister to sleep, it was already 10 at night. Only then did Vesper belatedly notice a flicker of hunger. She went downstairs to the kitchen, opened the fridge, and immediately spotted, right in the most obvious spot, a plate holding the creative kids meal I had made earlier, with a note stuck on top, just warm it up a bit tomorrow morning before eating. Vesper let out a soft laugh, well aware that this had been made for Poppy, and picked up, with her slender fingers, the rice ball she'd mocked earlier that day as, looking like a pig, taking an inexplicable bite. Tastes awful, she grumbled disdainfully, yet her hands never stopped, bite after bite, until the whole thing was gone, not a scrap left. The next morning, the weather refused to cooperate, a light drizzle falling steadily. Worried about traffic during rush hour making me late, I got up an extra hour early to catch the very first bus, got off at the stop nearest the school, and walked the rest of the way holding an umbrella. Meanwhile, outside the gates of Kingsley Academy, a black Mercedes pulled up smoothly. In the passenger seat sat a boy with strikingly refined features. It was Jasper. He was complaining, clearly displeased. "Dad, why on earth would you transfer that annoying brat to the same school as me?" His father tried to placate him. "Jasper, don't get worked up. Just be mindful of your public image. You've got a bit of a name now, watch out for paparazzi." That only made Jasper's expression darken further, his tone growing sharper. "Don't joke with me. All the roles I've gotten these past 2 years have been nothing but garbage films or throwaway ads no one wanted. These days I could walk down the street without sunglasses and nobody would even recognize me. And you're worried about paparazzi? You're just mocking me on purpose." His aggressive, cutting tone was practically identical to his mother Vivian's. "I still call you Dad, and this is how you treat me? You never fight for me to get any good opportunities, and now you're bringing that jinx to my school too. Are you planning to bring that vegetable of a woman back to the Whitlock estate too?" His father spoke with a troubled expression. "Jasper, the entertainment industry isn't nearly as easy as you think it is. Even with money, without the right connections, you'll get nowhere." With that, he let out a heavy sigh. Of course he wanted the Whitlock family to produce a real star. It would be an enormous boost for the Whitlock Group's entertainment division. Now that his eldest son's face was ruined, this younger son was all he had left to invest in. But with his current standing, he had no way of reaching top directors, let alone landing any prime opportunities. Sometimes whether someone made it big really did come down to fate. But Jasper wasn't willing to hear any of this. He exploded on the spot. "Don't give me that. If he could be famous 5 years ago, why can't I be? I think you're doing this on purpose. Do you know how much my mom and I suffered back in the day? How much we were wronged and you've forgotten all of it?" His father sighed again, his voice heavy with guilt. "I know I owe you and your mother, which is exactly why I want to make it up to you both twice over. In this household now, wasn't everything already decided by Vivian anyway?" Jasper let out a cold snort, refusing to let it go. "So you're still bringing Rowan to my school knowing full well I get irritated just looking at him?" His father looked utterly helpless. "Haven't I, Al?" Reddy explained. "It's because our family's car hit the Ashcombe family's younger daughter, and they specifically demanded your brother look after her. If I don't offer some kind of incentive, some kind of leverage, will he really just go along with what I want?" Jasper had no interest in hearing any of that, and coldly cut him off. "He's not my brother." He shoved the car door open and stormed toward the school gate, and from a distance, he spotted that all too familiar, all too hateful figure. He immediately quickened his pace, rushing forward. Meanwhile, it felt like I'd walked a million miles before finally reaching the school gate, soaked through from walking in the rain the whole way, looking a bit of a mess. Right then someone slammed into me hard from behind, and losing my balance, I fell straight forward into a puddle by the road. The umbrella flew out of my hand and landed in the rain. I braced myself against the ground to steady up, frowning as I turned around, and froze the instant I saw who it was. It was Jasper. Compared to my sorry-soaked state, my half-brother looked sharp and effortlessly elegant. He looked down at me from above, full of contempt. "I don't want anything. I just can't stand the sight of you, and wanted to teach you a lesson. But I've never been anyone's easy target." I got straight to my feet and kicked him without hesitation, saying coldly, "Jasper, picking a fight this early in the morning? Really asking for trouble." Jasper staggered back several steps before catching himself, then whipped around, glaring at me furiously. "You dare kick me?" I raised my chin, replying coldly, "Yeah, so what if I did? I can't stand the sight of you either, so what's wrong with teaching you a lesson too?" Jasper pointed at me, shouting furiously, "Who do you think you are? 5 years ago your mom lost to mine, and now she deserves to lie there as a vegetable, still barely clinging to life, from what I hear." He wore a mocking smile, every word landing like a knife in my chest. I took several deep breaths, fighting with everything I had to suppress the urge to tear him apart right there, and warned him through gritted teeth, one word at a time. "I'm warning you. I can let anything else slide, but say one more word about my mother and see what happens." Jasper only grew more smug, and spoke with open arrogance. "Ever since Dad brought my mom and me back to the Whitlock family, you lost. For the rest of your life, I'll keep you under my heel, and you'll never rise back up." Since this was my first day at a new school, I really didn't want to stir up trouble, so I clenched my teeth and repeated silently to myself, over and over, "I'm not angry." In the end, I simply turned away. With someone like Jasper, the best strategy was never to argue back, but to ignore him completely. Sure enough, being completely ignored only made Jasper more furious. It was the morning rush for school, students with umbrellas streaming past, and seeing the tension between me and Jasper, they all glanced over, whispering among themselves as they walked. "Hey, isn't that Jasper, the campus heartthrob from sophomore year? He really is good looking. I heard he's been in a bunch of commercials, got over 2 million followers on social media. Who's that guy standing next to him? Never seen him before. Then came a hush of whispers, voices suddenly dropping low. Hey, did you see it? That guy has this really scary scar on his face. God, it looks terrifying. My heart lurched with alarm, and I quickly reached up to tug my bangs down over my forehead, pressing them firmly in place. That scar, running from my forehead all the way down my left cheek, still showed through faintly even with a thick layer of hair covering it, jarring at first glance. For 5 years, what I feared most was people staring at me like I was some kind of monster. Watching me squirm in flustered discomfort, Jasper wore a satisfied smile, his mood soaring with quiet delight. Serves you right, Rowan. I already told you, you'll never rise above me here. The rain kept pouring down steadily, slowly soaking my face, cold droplets sliding down my cheeks. This wasn't good. I needed to grab my umbrella fast. My eyes searched anxiously through the rain for where it had landed, and just then, the rain overhead suddenly stopped. A black umbrella had steadily settled above me. Startled, I looked up, first noticing the canopy above, then letting my gaze fall on the gentle, striking girl standing there. She was watching me, a flash of surprise in her eyes, the corners of her mouth curling up softly as she spoke gently. "It's you?" The crowd around us instantly erupted, the whispering bursting into stifled gasps of astonishment. "Whoa, it's Iris, the campus belle. She's absolutely breathtaking as always, and that smile is so gentle, but why is she holding an umbrella for that ugly freak?" She bent down, picked up my fallen umbrella from the rain and handed it to me, saying gently, "The rain's getting heavier. You'll catch a cold without one." I took the umbrella, nodding quickly and murmuring, "Thank you." Iris gave a faint smile, her eyes curving warmly. "Why is it that every time we meet that's always the first thing you say?" I scratched my head awkwardly, forcing a laugh. "Is it though? I guess it really is." This was only the second time we'd met, and every time she showed up like an angel, pulling me up right when I was at my most pathetic. Jasper, standing nearby, was completely stunned, frozen in place, his mind blank. "Iris? How did the two of them even know each other? Someone please explain what was going on." Iris was one of the school's 3 most admired girls, so how could she possibly know that ugly freak Rowan? Iris, meanwhile, seemed completely unaware that Jasper was even standing there, her attention fixed entirely on me. She asked softly, "Did you just transfer here today? What class are you in?" I looked at her and nodded. "Yeah, senior class C." Iris smiled, an essay. "ID, let me walk you to your classroom. The campus is huge, easy to get lost your first time." I felt a rush of flattered surprise and asked quickly, "Are you sure? Won't that be too much trouble?" Iris waved a hand with a smile. "Not at all." And so, under a wave of envious, jealous stares from the boys around us, Iris and I shared the same umbrella, walking side by side toward the classroom building. Jasper, left standing there completely ignored, ground his back teeth in fury, his eyes burning with resentment. Why was Iris being so kind to that ugly freak? What made Rowan so special? As we walked along the tree-lined path across campus, I glanced at the girl beside me and said, "By the way, I still don't know your name. I'm Rowan." Iris repeated my name softly, studying my face carefully once more, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. Puzzled, I asked, "What is it?" Iris shook her head and said softly, "It's nothing. You just remind me of someone." I blinked a couple of times, thinking to myself, with this face of mine, who could possibly be so unlucky as to look like me? That would be a real tragedy. Iris's slender, pale fingers curled around the black umbrella handle, as she turned her head to look at me and softly spoke a name. Sky. 5 years ago, 3 kids barely past the age of 10 had formed a boy band and officially entered the entertainment industry, calling themselves Light Years. And that boy named Sky had been the group's leader. Back then, the 3 members of Light Years had been famous across the whole country, but the good times didn't last. Just a year later, the group's leader, following a kidnapping incident, suffered severe facial disfigurement and completely withdrew from the industry from that point on, vanishing without a trace ever since. And the boy band that had once been at the height of fame gradually faded from public view, disappearing entirely. Hearing Iris say the name Sky, my footsteps stopped dead, my whole body freezing on the spot as if struck by lightning, shock written across my face. Iris, noticing my reaction, showed a flicker of confusion in her eyes and asked softly, "You know him too?" I snapped back to my senses, shaking my head vigorously, denying it over and over. "No idea, no clue, never heard of him." Iris curved her lips into a gentle smile. "Is that so? He was one of the biggest stars around back in his day." Hearing that, I quickly explained, "I've never really followed the entertainment industry much anyway, especially not something from 5 years ago. There's no way I'd remember it." Iris didn't push the topic any further. By then we had already reached the entrance of the classroom building, and she closed her umbrella, glancing up at me. "Wait here for a moment." Barely 3 minutes later she came back, holding of all things a bandage, and said, smiling as she looked at me, "Hold out your hand. Didn't you notice your palm got scraped?" Only then did I finally look down and notice that, from my fall earlier, my palm had scraped open, a faint trace of blood still seeping through. Iris bowed her head, her fingers gentle and careful, as she carefully applied the bandage, then nodded, satisfied, and looked up to give me an earnest reminder. "Take better care of yourself. Don't let yourself get hurt again." This girl's gentleness was almost unbelievable. Watching her turn to leave, I quickly called out to stop her. "You still haven't told me your name." Iris turned back, her eyes curving into a smile, her voice soft. "I'm Iris." With that, she turned and walked into the building. I turned and headed into the restroom, leaning close to the mirror, and couldn't help but mutter, "Oh no," under my breath. The fake scar had peeled at the edges from getting wet, completely impossible to hide. I reached up and swept my bangs aside, tearing the fake scar off my face in one go. The mirror instantly reflected a face that was breathtakingly handsome, my features sharp and striking, a world apart from the timid, shrinking version of me from moments ago. I looked at my own reflection and let out a soft sigh. After 5 years of staring at a scarred face, suddenly seeing my true self again actually felt strange. I carefully pressed the fake scar back onto my face, looking at the plain, almost frightening reflection staring back at me, and only then nodded in satisfaction. Thinking back to what Heiress had said about Sky, I hesitated for a moment before pulling out my phone and logging into an account I hadn't accessed in 5 years. The official verification still remained on the page, though the profile itself hadn't been updated in 5 whole years. Even yesterday's page views had barely reached 1 or 2,000. That was just how the entertainment world worked. 5 years was more than enough time for everyone to completely forget a star who had once been famous nationwide. Right then, my phone suddenly rang, startling me, and I fumbled to hit answer. A familiar male voice came through, teasing slightly. "Hey, Rowan, look who finally decided to show up online." It was Dex calling, my ride-or-die friend since childhood, who asked, "How have you been lately?" I answered with total honesty. "Getting by, still breathing, barely." "What about you, calling me at this hour? Isn't your school supposed to ban phones during class hours?" Dex laughed. "I skipped school today, I'm at home. I just suddenly remembered. That contract from 5 years ago, there's only 3 months left on it. But you, why do you sound so calm? Out of the 3 of us back then, you were the best looking, the most popular by far." I couldn't help but laugh. "I'm literally the one this happened to. Why are you more worked up than I am?" Dex answered indignantly. "Because it's not fair to you. You were huge back then, and if it weren't for that incident—" I cut him off with a laugh. "Alright, it's just 5 years. Look, I'm almost through it," Dex emphasized again, his tone firm. 3 more months and you'll be completely free of that garbage contract. By the way, that loser Jasper still doesn't know, does he? He thought once he pushed you out he'd finally become a star, but look at him now. Without you, he's still just a nobody, some D-list wannabe who never took off. I can't wait to see the look on his face 3 months from now, when he sees your real face and eats every word he ever said. It's going to be so satisfying." I smiled, my voice unable to hide the excitement bubbling up in me, my heart warming right alongside his. I quickly asked, "Is everything you said actually true?" I glanced up at the clock on the wall and spoke quickly, in a rush. "I've got to go for now. Too much has happened these past couple of days. I'll tell you everything in person once we meet up." After hanging up, I checked the mirror again and again to make sure the fake scar was properly in place, before finally pushing the door open and stepping out. Just a few steps later, a cold, elegant figure passed close by, a powerful pressure washing over me instantly. My heart lurched. Oh no, this feeling was... I spun around, and sure enough, there stood Vesper. Almost as pure reflex, I leapt backward instantly, my back pressing flat against the wall behind me. I couldn't quite explain why, but maybe it was just how overwhelmingly commanding her presence was, always carrying that untouchable, keep-your-distance kind of aura that made me inexplicably tense whenever I saw her. My brain short-circuited, and before I could stop myself I blurted out, "Vesper, what a coincidence, you're actually here to use the restroom?" The moment the words left my mouth I wanted to bite my own tongue off. What on earth had I just said? To keep Vesper from picking up on that and launching into full sharp-tongued mode, I scrambled to change the subject. "So, aren't you curious why I suddenly showed up at Kingsley Academy?" Vesper looked at me, expressionless, her tone icy. "Why, did you fall from the sky? Am I supposed to gasp and wonder at your grand arrival?" I was left speechless on the spot. Wouldn't any normal person show at least a little surprise? Then again, Poppy had already mentioned that Vesper had a guaranteed spot at a top national university, so whether she showed up here or not made no difference, especially since at such a young age she'd already started taking over Ashcombe Corporation. Surely far too busy to spare a moment. I stepped closer and couldn't help but ask, "So why did you actually come to school today? I honestly thought you'd never set foot here again." Vesper's gaze swept over the bandage on my hand, and she asked, offhandedly, "What happened to your hand?" I put on a casual, indifferent look, answering lightly, "Just tripped and fell earlier, scraped some skin, that's all." Vesper let out an immediate cold laugh. "You managed to trip while just walking normally. How do you not fall hard enough to kill yourself?" I was floored, staring at her. "Vesper, did you come all the way to school just to mock me?" Vesper let out a wet wipe and cleaned her fingers unhurriedly, saying coolly, "Does your family own this school?" I shook my head automatically. "No. Then why does it matter what I'm here for?" That was Vesper. With that, she crumpled up the wipe, tossed it straight into the trash can nearby, and turned to walk away. I watched her go, muttering under my breath, honestly such an ice queen, not a shred of warmth in her. Humming to myself, I made my way to the end of the third-floor hallway, glancing up at the class sign by the door. Senior Class C. Right, this was it. I gently pushed the classroom door open, and the once noisy room fell instantly silent, every head turning in unison, every gaze landing squarely on me. Out of habit, I reached up and tugged at the loose hair over my forehead, covering the scar on my face, a reflex ingrained over the last 5 years of hiding behind that disguise. I forced a polite smile and said, "Hi everyone, I'm Rowan, the new transfer student joining this class today. I hope we all get along well going forward." No sooner had I finished speaking than students in the front row started whispering, "Rowan? Isn't that the guy who was just out there in broad daylight flirting with Heiress, our campus belle? I'm telling you, I just walked past the restroom and actually saw Miss Ashcombe there, and now this Rowan is trying to flirt with our other belle too, Vesper." The girls in class first felt a spark of excitement. Vesper almost never showed up at school, so seeing her today was rare enough, but that excitement quickly gave way to outrage at the second part. "What did you say? This ugly freak actually has the nerve to flirt with Vesper too. That's absolutely unforgivable." Jasper happened to be sitting right there in that very class, watching everyone point fingers and hurl mockery at me, practically floating on cloud 9 inside. I stood there at the door, tightening my grip on the backpack strap, paying no attention whatsoever to the biting comments, and calmly walked into the classroom, choosing an empty seat in the very last row, setting my bag down as if I hadn't heard a single word of the mockery, my expression completely unbothered. Watching me from the front row, Jasper seethed with frustration, gritting his teeth. Since he'd failed to rile me up, he'd ended up furious with himself instead. What he hated most was exactly this: Rowan's calm, unbothered attitude, acting so composed. Who was he trying to fool? Getting mocked by this many people, he had to be seething inside, just putting on a front of indifference. So fake and so infuriating. During the break, I got up to head to the restroom, watching the classmates around me pairing off in 2s and 3s, while I didn't have a single person to walk with, even to the bathroom. I'd long since gotten used to being isolated, but couldn't help feeling a pang of longing. I really wished Dex and Theo would hurry up and join me here soon. My thoughts were tangled and scattered as I turned THE corner to head down the stairs, only to slam straight into someone the very next second. I could hardly believe it. Looking at Jasper standing right in front of me, I said coldly, "Jasper, what do you want now? I don't have time to trade insults with you." With that, I tried to walk around him, but Jasper grabbed my arm tightly, glaring at me and snapping, "Rowan, you'd better come clean right now. What exactly is going on between you and Vesper?" I shot him a sidelong glance, answering flatly, "Whatever's between us is none of your business." Jasper glared at me viciously, growling out a threat. "I'm warning you, don't push your luck. Heiress is the girl I've decided will be my future girlfriend, so stay far away from her from now on." I smiled deliberately, just to needle him. Guess I forgot to mention, Vesper and I see each other every single day, and her little sister absolutely adores me too. Jasper's eyes flared red on the spot, swinging a fist straight at my face, but I caught his wrist midair, flinging it lightly aside. Just then, laughter and chatter drifted up from the stairs below, a few classmates climbing up together. Jasper suddenly let out a shout, stumbling backward on his own, and with a cry of pain, tumbled straight down the staircase. No way. I froze on the spot, stunned. How had this happened? I hadn't even used much force at all. The students nearby immediately erupted in chaos. "Oh my God, what happened? Quick, get him to the school clinic." A few students helped Jasper sit up, and he looked up at me, his eyes brimming with pitiful helplessness, voice choked with emotion. "Rowan, why did you push me?" For a split second my mind went completely blank, before I instinctively shot back, "That's a lie. I never pushed you at all." But the students passing by rushed to back him up. "Don't even try to deny it, we all saw it with our own eyes. It was definitely you who pushed Jasper down the stairs. Being ugly is one thing, but having such a vicious mind on top of it, actually bullying a classmate like that." Everyone around was rushing to defend Jasper, while Jasper, bruised all over, held his face and, upon hearing the crowd condemning me, let a barely visible smirk of satisfaction creep across his lips. I bit my lip and spoke deliberately, one word at a time. "I did not push him. If you don't believe me, feel free to check the security footage." At those words, Jasper's expression instantly darkened, and he simply closed his eyes and passed out cold. Inside the hospital's very important person ward, my father grabbed my arm in a fury he couldn't contain, practically dragging me into the room and pointing at Jasper lying comfortably on the bed, scolding me harshly. "Look at what you've done. Look at the state you've reduced your brother to." My shoulder throbbed under his grip, and I could tell without a doubt that my father was truly furious. Honestly, when the whole class had mocked me for being an ugly freak, it hadn't hurt me nearly as much as this moment did. Now my chest ached like it had been struck with needles, a sharp, unrelenting pain. I gritted my teeth and said, "I already told you, I didn't push him. He fell on his own." Jasper's voice cracked with emotion as he spoke weakly. "If you didn't push me, are you saying I injured myself on purpose? Why would I ever do that?" My father's eyes blazed as he glared at me, shouting furiously, "Your brother's been timid since he was little, not bold like you, ever since the day I brought him back to the family. I could tell you resented him, scheming to harm him this whole time. What kind of heart do you even have? He's your own brother." My father roared until his voice went hoarse, ending up in a fit of violent coughing he couldn't control. The door of the ward suddenly burst open, and Vivian came rushing in, her face tense with worry as she threw herself at the bedside. "Sweetheart, are you all right? Where does it hurt? Let mommy see." Jasper immediately squeezed out a few tears, burying his face against her, full of self-pity. Vivian whipped her head around, her carefully applied makeup unable to hide the vicious fury underneath, glaring daggers at me. "It's you again! Rowan, you dared to push my son down the stairs. I don't think you understand who you're dealing with. I'll beat you to death today." I clenched my fists, meeting her glare without a hint of fear, replying coldly, "Try laying a hand on me. I'll pay it back tenfold, guaranteed. Vivian instantly turned toward my father and dropped to the floor, wailing dramatically. Honey, just look. Look at this fine son you had with your ex-wife. He's out to destroy the both of us. Fine, I'll pack our things and leave the family right now. My father scanned the room, grabbed a decorative ornament off the bedside table and hurled it straight at me, cursing as he threw. I'll teach you to talk back. Look what you've done to your brother, and you still have the nerve to upset your stepmother. How did I ever end up with such a rotten son as you? With that, he snatched up a thermos nearby, throwing it at me too, the impact sending a sharp, piercing pain through my body, yet I stood stubbornly in place, refusing to dodge. I lowered my head, clenching my fists tight, knowing full well that tears were the most useless thing of all, yet in that moment, my eyes burned with heat I couldn't hold back. But before my tears could even fall, Vivian and Jasper acted like they'd suffered some unimaginable injustice, clutching each other tightly, sobbing as if their hearts were breaking. My father grabbed my arm, shoving me forward with force, snapping harshly. You think staying silent gets you off the hook? On the surface, Jasper wept as if devastated, but inside he was already thrilled beyond measure, hiding behind my father's back where he flashed me a provocative, mocking grin. Trembling with rage, I raised a hand to point at Jasper, but the instant my father turned to follow where I was pointing, Jasper instantly wiped the S.me.ly off his face, crying even harder than before. Seeing him so distraught, my father turned his gaze back to me, glaring with deep disappointment. What are you pointing at? How dare you point at your own brother? Are you trying to push him down the stairs a second time, right in front of me? Rowan, I'm completely disappointed in you. You will apologize to your brother right now. I suddenly smiled, a smile full of stubborn defiance, and said, word by word, I did nothing wrong. Why should I apologize? My father's eyes flared red with rage as he glared at me, growling through clenched teeth. You just wait. I'll beat you until you break, mark my words. Before he'd even finished speaking, he swung the ornament in his hand and hurled it straight at me with full force. And in that split-second life-or-death moment, the ward door was suddenly kicked open, the tremendous crash freezing my father's motion instantly. He whipped his head around, and there, standing in the doorway, was a row of bodyguards in black uniforms, standing tall and rigid, radiating cold, commanding authority, lined up neatly in 2 rows. My father faltered for a split second, then forced himself to appear composed, barking angrily, Who are you people? This is my son's private ward. Get out right now. The lead bodyguard shot me a cold glance, and once he'd confirmed my identity, signaled to the others behind him. The next moment, the bodyguards all surged forward together, wasting no words as they began smashing everything in the room, chairs, tables, ornaments, medical equipment, shattering all across the floor in an instant. Vivian's face went ashen as she clutched Jasper tight, screaming, Have you lost your minds? What kind of thugs are you? I'm calling the police. But the bodyguards paid no attention at all, snatching straight from my father's hands the ornament he'd been about to hurl at me, and with a casual, forceful swing, sent the heavy object flying past Jasper's cheek before it slammed hard into the wall. Jasper's face turned deathly pale on the spot, his whole body freezing, breath catching in his throat, a shallow cut now sliced across his cheek, blood beginning to seep out. The turn of events had come far too suddenly, leaving me utterly stunned. What on earth was going on? Where had these bodyguards even come from? Some enemy of my father's, maybe? But to my surprise, throughout it all, they never so much as laid a finger on me, and one of them actually brought over a chair for me, saying with the utmost respect, Mr. Rowan, please have a seat, as if inviting me to sit back and enjoy the show. I was completely lost, unable to make sense of the scene unfolding in front of me. My father shook with fury, roaring in outrage. Who exactly are you people? You've injured my son's face, and he's got bookings to keep up with all the time. If his face is ruined, can you people even afford to take responsibility for that? Vivian also screeched at the top of her lungs. Do you have any idea? My son earns tens of thousands per booking. I'm calling the police right now. None of you are leaving until you all pay up. The lead bodyguard, wearing a Bluetooth earpiece, walked over to the window and repeated her words verbatim to whoever was on the other end of the line. Miss, they're saying Jasper is a celebrity, and a single booking is worth tens of thousands. Back at the Ashcombe estate, Vesper was lounging lazily on the sofa, and at his words she parted her lips, her tone icy and commanding as she replied, Keep going. Don't stop until you've dealt $1 million worth of damage. The bodyguard hung up on cue, turning to signal the others with a cold command. Proceed. Jasper, terrified, scrambled backward against the bed, seeing clearly that these men were coming for him specifically. What do you people want, Dad? Call the police. Now. No sooner had he spoken than a sharp slap struck him hard across the face, half of it swelling up. Instantly, my father and Vivian tried to rush forward to shield him, but the bodyguards blocked them completely, leaving them no way to get close. My father shouted desperately, Do you have any idea who I am? How dare you touch my son? Vivian too had completely lost her composure. In her 30-some years alive, she had never witnessed anything like this. Jasper covered his face, disbelief written across every feature, crying out, You dare hit me! His answer came in the form of another solid slap, the bodyguard's expression blank throughout, as though simply carrying out routine business, the sharp crack of each slap echoing again and again through the ward. Watching her son take hit after hit, Vivian's heart bled with every blow, until suddenly her eyes darted sideways, and she pointed straight at me, shrieking, If you're enemies of the Whitlock family, please don't hit my son. Go hit him instead. He's my husband's son too. Go after him. You can beat him however you want. My father gritted his teeth. In his mind, Jasper was tied directly to the future of Whitlock Group's entertainment division, something that absolutely couldn't be jeopardized, so he nodded along at once in agreement. Yes, go hit Rowan instead. Hit him. I froze right there on the spot, then let out a bitter, self-mocking laugh. So this was what I amounted to in his eyes. I had never truly been his son at all, just someone he could throw out as a sacrifice whenever it suited him. I couldn't bear to stay a moment longer, and turned to bolt from the room without a backward glance. Seeing this, the lead bodyguard rushed after me, watching my broken, aimless figure retreating, and murmured a report into his earpiece. Mr. Rowan seems deeply upset. He just ran off. Understood. On the other end of the line, Vesper's tone gave away nothing at all. The bodyguard quickly pressed further. Should we bring him back to the estate? He looks like he's really struggling. Poppy had been pressing her little head close against the phone the whole time, and at those words nodded frantically, calling out in her sweet little voice, Yes, go get Rowan. But Vesper simply parted her lips slightly and spoke two flat words. No need. Poppy immediately panicked, shaking her sister's arm and crying out, Why not? Vesper, didn't you hear he's feeling terrible right now? Vesper set down her phone, her expression barely shifting at all. There's no why. Helping him this time is only because you begged me so hard. Outside, the sky had darkened to the color of ink, thick black clouds pressing in layer after layer, and the pedestrians on the street quickened their steps. Everyone rushes to get home. Except me. I wander the streets with no direction, like a lost soul with nowhere to belong. That line, go ahead and hit Rowan, he's my son too, loops in my head like a curse, over and over, impossible to shake. How pathetic am I, begging like some street beggar, hoping to scrape together from Warren Whitlock even a scrap of fatherly love. Rain hammers down, growing heavier by the second. Beside me, a boy about my age shoulders his backpack, phone pressed to his ear, hurrying along, his voice full of reassurance. I know the typhoon's coming, I'm on my way home. Don't worry, you and Mom, you don't need to come get me, I'm already at the subway exit. I stand in the rain, staring blankly at his retreating back. On an evening like this, storm-lashed, typhoon howling through the streets, no one cares whether I'm safe, and no one cares if I live or die. Meanwhile, at the Ashcombe estate, Poppy curls up on the couch with her tablet, scrolling through a typhoon warning alert. She looks up immediately, worry shining in her bright eyes. Vesper, do you think Rowan's made it home yet? Vesper's eyes stay locked on the television, where a reporter braces against the wind, face contorted by the gale, broadcasting live from the city streets. Poppy waves her little hand back and forth in front of Vesper's face. Vesper, who would even be out in weather like this? Even an idiot knows to find shelter. Vesper ignores her, reaching to change the channel, but in the next instant, in the background behind the reporter, a familiar figure flashes past. Vesper's cool eyes narrow, just slightly. Poppy gasps, pointing at the screen. Vesper, was that Rowan? Face hardening, Vesper switches off the TV and heads straight for the door. Poppy panics instantly. Vesper, why did you turn it off? Was that Rowan or not? It's dangerous out there, all alone. Vesper, are you going to get him? Vesper shoots her sister a sideways glance, her tone still ice cold. I already told you, my patience with him ends here. That fool doesn't even value his own life, so if the typhoon blows him away, he deserves it. With that, she tosses the remote onto the couch and stalks upstairs, face grim. Poppy spins in circles, frantic, wailing. What am I supposed to do? Rowan's in danger. She's already scheming to sneak out and send the family driver to bring Rowan back. When, not 5 minutes after going upstairs, Vesper comes back down, expression cold as ever, car keys clenched in her hand. Poppy's eyes light up instantly, delighted. Vesper, you're going to get Rowan, aren't you? Gritting her teeth, Vesper snaps back. I'm just going out for a walk. Who said anything about getting him? Meanwhile, I sit on the steps outside a roadside mall. Barely enough cover to block the rain, some shelter from the wind. My home is far out in the suburbs, and the only subway line that reaches it has shut down entirely because of the typhoon. The Whitlock estate is nearby, in a luxury complex, but ever since 5 years ago, that place stopped being my home. In this moment, I finally understand what it truly means to be abandoned by the whole world. Suddenly, a fiery red sports car screeches to a halt, stopping dead right in front of me. The window rolls down slowly, revealing a face so stunning it stops my heart. Get in. Vesper stares straight ahead, her voice carrying an order that brooks no argument. I look up, stunned. What are you doing here? Without missing a beat, Vesper says flatly, just happened to be passing by. She turns her head slightly, finally letting her gaze land on me, voice dripping with mockery. Rowan, you really do have leisure to spare, sitting here like the typhoon isn't about to hit. Are you waiting for the rain to stop? Or waiting for the storm to arrive so you can just freeze into a corpse? I shoot to my feet, jaw set stubbornly. I like waiting here. Is that any of your business? Even if I freeze into a corpse, it's got nothing to do with you. Vesper's pretty face turns cold instantly, her voice sharp. Who do you think you're talking to? I'll ask you one last time. Are you getting in or not? What I hate most is Vesper's condescending charitable tone, as if no matter what she does to me, I'm supposed to be grateful for it. Miss Vesper, please, just let me freeze into a corpse right here. After all, nobody in this world cares whether I live or die. The weather's bad. I suggest you stop wasting my time. The words barely leave her mouth when a cold gust laced with rain sweeps past, and I can't help but shiver violently, all my earlier bravado vanishing instantly. Sheepishly, I backpedal. Actually, well, I think being alive is pretty great, actually. Thanks, Miss Vesper. Seeing me finally cave, Vesper's expression eases just a little. She reaches over, pulls a pack of tissues from the passenger seat, and tosses it into my lap, dry off. I glance at her gratefully, thinking to myself, who would have guessed this little devil could be this thoughtful? But the very next second, Vesper adds, cool as ever, just don't get my car dirty. Right. I should have known better than to expect anything from this sharp-tongued girl. On the drive back, Vesper gives me the short version of what happened at the hospital. For most people, going through something like that would shatter their heart completely. But the boy sitting beside her shows no trace of tears at all. There's even a hint of a careless smile. Vesper's voice softens, rare for her. Hey Rowan, if you want to cry, just cry, you don't have to hold it in. I stare at her, stunned, at this girl who is beautiful beyond words, and freeze completely. For as long as I can remember, almost everyone has told me, boys don't cry. Crying never solves anything, so I rarely let myself cry. But someone I've known for barely a few days gives me, on a night torn apart by wind and rain, the only warmth I've felt all day. It's as if every ounce of hurt I've swallowed today surges up all at once, right now, and my eyes sting despite myself. I'm not crying. I quickly pull myself together, turn to look at her, a smile clear and steady against the night. Vesper. Thank you. Vesper looks puzzled. Thank me for what? I smile at her, voice completely sincere. Thank you for caring about me. Vesper lets out a cold laugh. Rowan, you are without a doubt the most delusional person I've ever met. My smile nearly cracks, but I pretend not to catch the sting in her words, still grinning. But you could have just left me there, turned around and driven off. But you didn't, did you? Vesper scoffs, refusing to back down. I just happened to save a life along the way. I've always been the charitable type. Soon, Vesper pulls the car into the Ashcombe estate. She glances at the butler waiting by the door, then heads straight upstairs without a word. The butler understands immediately, gesturing for me to follow. This way, sir. I follow him inside, into a lavishly furnished guest room. Too much has happened today, and I'm so exhausted I can barely keep my eyes open. I collapse onto the bed, asleep the moment my head hits the pillow. The next morning, I wake with a huge yawn, sinking into the plush, oversized bed, then suddenly snap my eyes wide open, looking around the unfamiliar room. Before it finally hits me, I spent the night at the Ashcombe estate. I check the time, already 6:30. If I don't hurry, I'll be too late to make Poppy's breakfast. I scramble out of bed and rush straight into the kitchen. Half an hour later, I carry out my creative, kid-friendly breakfast, leaving the kitchen, and the moment I step out, I find Poppy already awake, not sure since when, sitting obediently at the table. Seeing me appear, she breaks into a radiant smile, two tiny fang-like teeth peeking out. Morning, Rowan. Surprised, I ask Poppy, why are you up so early? Because I could just sense your cooking calling out to me. Poppy looks like a kitten waiting to be fed, clapping her little hands happily on the table. Her adorable act cracks me up, and I walk over to ruffle her hair. Poppy mumbles, a bit sheepish, last night I wanted to wait up for you, but I ended up falling asleep waiting. Ah, I see, I say casually. By the way, how did you know I got back last night? Poppy gulps down a huge bite of her rice ball, answering with her mouth still full. Oh, it's because yesterday, during the typhoon, my sister, what? A cool, imperious voice cuts in. Vesper has come downstairs without either of them noticing, watching Poppy with a deceptively gentle look. Poppy's face freezes instantly, survival instincts kicking into overdrive. Vesper looked super pretty yesterday, and even prettier today. Satisfied, Vesper pats her head. The maids arrive in the kitchen at their usual time, only to find both young ladies already awake. Breakfast at the Ashcombe estate always runs on a fixed schedule, but today it's a full half-hour early. A maid hurries over, speaking with utmost respect. Miss, you're up so early, we'll get breakfast started right away. Vesper pulls out a chair, sits down with effortless elegance, and says flatly, no need. The maid looks confused. Do you mean there's already something made? As she speaks, Vesper's dark, striking eyes flick toward me, almost imperceptibly. I look down at the sandwich I'd made for myself while fixing Poppy's breakfast, and freeze on the spot. Instinctively, I pull the sandwich behind my back, refusing without a second thought. Don't even think about it. This is mine. If you want breakfast, have the staff make you something. Are you going to hand it over or not? Vesper lifts her gaze to me, eyes glinting with unmistakable threat. That look on her face practically says, the fact that I'm willing to eat your cooking is already a huge honor for you. Utterly defeated, I hand over the sandwich, dragging my feet, watching miserably as she eats it at her own unhurried pace, then takes a sip of milk, and finally tosses out a casual review, a bit bland. Do better next time. I fire back, smiling through gritted teeth. If you don't like it, don't eat it. Nobody's forcing you. Vesper snorts. Something's come up at school. I need to leave half an hour early today, otherwise you think I actually wanted this? No sooner has she said it than the butler strides in quickly, bowing slightly to report, Miss, Heiress is here. Hearing that familiar name, I whip my head around just as Heiress walks in. Seeing me there, Heiress freezes for a second, clearly surprised, then curls her lips into a smile, speaking warmly. Rowan, what are you doing here? Before I can explain, Vesper cuts in without missing a beat. He's our new houseboy. That instantly gets under my skin, and I protest, hey, what houseboy? I just agreed to help look after Poppy for a month, that's all. Looking after Poppy? Iris's gaze lands on Poppy, who's happily digging into her food, and connecting it with what happened at the hospital a few days ago. She pieces the whole story together instantly, letting out a small laugh. Small world, isn't it? She takes a seat across from Vesper, then turns to me, still standing off to the side, and asks gently, "Why don't you sit?" Vesper, sitting there in full high and mighty mode, lifts her eyes at that, sweeping a glance my way, voice haughty. A houseboy should know his place. "Do you really think you get to sit?" Unlike Vesper's insufferable high society attitude, Iris's kindness runs bone deep, her voice as soft as cherry blossoms drifting on a spring breeze, melting the heart of anyone who hears it. I immediately break into a grin, turning to Iris. "You're seriously too nice. Compared to a certain someone, it's like night and day." Vesper shoots me a furious glare, gritting out through her teeth. "Rowan, tired of living, are you?" Iris quickly clears her throat, smoothing things over. "All right, let's get serious. There's a lot going on at school today, so we should head out soon. It's a 20-minute drive to school from here, and there's no public transit nearby at all, so I don't dare hope that Vesper would be kind enough to give me a ride." So I nudge Iris gently and ask quietly, Iris, could I hitch a ride with you to school?" Iris smiles warmly, agreeing right away, of course. The Sable estate sits right next to the Ashcombe estate, both inside the same exclusive gated community. 2 luxury cars now sit parked, one behind the other at the entrance. Expressionless, Vesper pulls open the driver's door and slides in, her eyes flicking to the rearview mirror, just in time to catch me and Iris climbing into the other car, laughing together, faces relaxed and easy. Her brows knit instantly, and she mutters under her breath, grinning like an idiot. Why doesn't he just laugh himself to death? It's an eyesore just looking at it. Expression blank, she turns her eyes back forward, shifts into gear, and slams the gas pedal to the floor. The engine roars as the sports car shoots forward like an arrow off the string, vanishing in the blink of an eye. The sudden engine roar startles me, and I look up at where the car used to be, muttering to myself, driving that fast, she's got a death wish. The Sable family driver starts the car smoothly, and Iris and I settle into the back seat. A faint warm scent lingers around her, as if she's wrapped spring sunlight itself into the car. Just then, my stomach betrays me with a loud, embarrassing growl. Iris pauses for a moment, then presses a fist to her lips, letting out a soft laugh. My face flushes bright red instantly, and I wave my hands, explaining quickly, "It's just, I didn't get a chance to eat breakfast this morning." Iris blinks, curious. "Why not?" My face falls, dejected. I made myself a sandwich, but Vesper stole it right out of my hands. I say, giving her a look of pure sympathy. "Iris, having a friend like Vesper must be exhausting most days." Iris shakes her head, smiling. "Not really. Once you get to know her, you'll find plenty of things about her worth admiring." I purse my lips immediately, like her sharp tongue. That's the only thing about her that leaves me in awe. I haven't spotted much else. That line sets Iris off laughing again, unable to stop. By now the car has already pulled out of the estate, merging onto the busy main road. Just a short distance in, Iris asks the driver to pull over, then turns to me, "Wait here a moment." With that, she pushes the door open and steps out. I nod. Since we left so early today anyway, there's no risk of being late. Before long, Iris returns, carrying a paper bag, and holds it out to me with a smile. "Here, this is for you." I take it, bewildered. "What's breakfast? I bought it for you," she answers, smiling. My eyes light up instantly, and I open the bag to find a still steaming burger and a soy milk drink inside. "Iris, you are seriously too kind." I can't help but say, and Iris's eyes crinkle gently as she smiles. "If you don't mind, just call me Iris." I smile back at her. "All right. Thanks, Iris." Before long, we arrive at school. The moment I step into the classroom, I see Jasper surrounded by a crowd of classmates. Yesterday, he tumbled down the stairs on his own, but instead turned it around, claiming I pushed him. Now the whole class treats me like public enemy number 1, boys and girls alike, every single one of them siding with Jasper. The moment I walk in, every head turns toward me at once, glaring with open hostility. "Rowan, you actually have the nerve to show up? Seriously, look what you did to Jasper. His whole face is swollen, and he's a celebrity. His face is his livelihood. How could that possibly compare to you, you ugly freak?" Harsh insults come at me from every direction, but I set my bag down on the desk without so much as a flinch, and toss back a casual reply. "No wonder. After all these years grinding away, you're still a total nobody in showbiz, since you never actually had any real talent." The words land right on Jasper's sorest nerve, and he jerks his head up, eyes blazing with fury. 5 years ago, I was barely past 10 years old and already famous across the entire country. And him? After grinding away for all these years, he's still a nobody actor nobody's heard of. Even after my face got ruined and I got locked out of the industry for 5 years by that contract, Jasper, that's me, is still worlds ahead of him, while he can't even come close. The students around them explode instantly, rushing to defend Jasper, glaring at me furiously. "What is wrong with you? Seriously, I've never seen anyone this shameless." The girls in class close ranks even tighter around their campus heartthrob. Jasper is at least good looking, and even if he's not a huge star yet, he's not someone an ugly freak like you gets to mock. If you're so talented, go be a celebrity yourself, though you'd probably never even reach the bottom tier. I shrug, unbothered. Is that so? What I really look like is something I know better than anyone. As for the future, who can really say? I just hope none of you end up eating your words. Jasper glares at me, unblinking, thoroughly baffled. He's just some disfigured freak, so what's he even acting so smug about? "Rowan, do you honestly think..." Looking like this monster? You can even compete with me? Jasper, don't waste your breath on this ugly freak. We're all on your side. Exactly. We're sure our campus heartthrob will hit it big eventually, and then we'll see if this ugly freak's face still hurts from all that talk. By the way, why didn't you take a few more days off to rest at home? One classmate asks, sounding genuinely concerned. Jasper snaps back to attention, touching the still swollen side of his face, teeth grinding with resentment inside. Yesterday, for reasons he still can't explain, a group of men in black slapped him dozens of times, and in his entire life he's never suffered such humiliation. He hadn't even wanted to come to school today. Showing up with a swollen face like this practically wrecks his image, but today is the day the school's drama club holds its recruitment tryouts, so he had no choice but to show up. The drama club at Meridian High is famous as a launchpad straight into celebrity, and every student in school is dying to get in. Not only do plenty of big-name directors show up to scout actors here, but more importantly, the club's president is none other than current A-list idol Celeste. With a star that huge holding down the fort, just getting into the drama club practically guarantees a following and a shot at fame. Jasper swears to himself privately that this time, he will get into the drama club no matter what. One day he will become a top-tier idol and prove me utterly wrong. First period is chemistry, and I'm hunched over, writing out equations, when my phone suddenly starts buzzing wildly in my desk. I sneak a glance at the teacher up front, then quickly slip the phone out and look down, finding messages in our group chat, just the three of us. Theo is spamming the group, tagging me repeatedly. Rowan, where are you? Get out here. My mouth twitches, and I type back quickly. Coming, I'm literally in class right now, man. Not everyone gets to skip school like you, off living abroad. Theo replies instantly. This is huge. Meridian High's drama club is holding tryouts this afternoon, and you have to go. I fire back a question mark. You want me to walk in there with this terrifying face and audition for drama club? Theo sends back an eye roll emoji. Why do you have zero foresight? The drama club only recruits once a year, and your contract will expire in 3 months, so you'll get your old face back. Once you're back to normal, you'll dominate that drama club in seconds, okay? Besides, that idiot brother of yours definitely won't pass up this chance. He's counting on the drama club to launch him straight to stardom. So you're going. No excuses. Go make him regret it. I stare at the screen, thinking it over, but with this face still covered in scar patches, I really don't feel like I have much confidence to spare. Theo sends another message. What are you scared of? Have you forgotten what your real specialty is? In the end, he manages to talk me into it, and I decide to go check it out. The drama club is based in the school's west wing, where a whole cluster of clubs are packed together, but right now, the busiest, most crowded one by far is unmistakably the drama club. For one thing, everyone gets to see A-list idol Celeste in person, and for another, everyone's chasing the same celebrity dream, hoping that if some director happens to notice them, it could mean overnight stardom, a jackpot beyond imagining. Just then, chatter buzzes nearby, voices overlapping. So many people, and they're only picking 3. The competition's insane. What's there to worry about? Jasper's a shoo-in. He's a professional actor already. Jasper immediately tips his chin up. Smug, of course. I've at least got that much confidence in myself. I turn to look, and my eyes meet Jasper's and his group of friends. Seeing me there, Jasper visibly freezes for a moment, clearly not expecting me to show up. Am I seeing this right? Ugly freaks these days really think they can be celebrities? It's Miles, Jasper's best friend, who speaks, his gaze dripping with contempt and mockery. Rowan, do you have any self-awareness at all? Jasper and I are trying out because we're at least decent looking. What exactly are you even trying to be? If you actually make it in, I'll livestream myself eating a keyboard. Jasper presses his lips together, smirking, and piles on. Count me in on that too. Hearing that, the whole crowd bursts into laughter. Looking like that, and he still has the nerve to try out. Seriously, where does that confidence even come from? Doesn't he know he's making a fool of himself? Mocking laughter erupts from every side, every eye in the crowd fixed on me. Jasper and Miles exchange a glance, eyes gleaming with satisfaction and spiteful glee, but I only shrug, completely unbothered, a faint smile tugging at my lips, and say, calm and even, is that so? Then let's wait and see.